I'll just show you the other ways of execution of a Python program. So whatever we discussed yesterday was one notepad, one was the direct shell page there, right? And yesterday I discussed even that we can open a new file and type the coding here. This is one last thing I taught you last class. Okay. So once you have written this, there's a next way to execute the code is save it wherever you like. That is your wish, but I'm giving some name to it. And to just run this program, we have a little way just that we can go to shell and just type a code here, import, and just give the name of the file here. So just whenever you want to run the file, wherever it may be saved in the particular system, you can just use a keyword here, import. Import is just like loading the file on the software. So basically the whole code is run on the Python interpreter. So this is a Python shell which is directly connected to the Python interpreter. And here it will just directly call the file in which we have written the code. So the code will execute top to bottom one after the other, whatever you have written, just by typing import statement. And here we have to understand one more thing. Now already I wrote an import, I got an output. But again, if I'm typing this import, it will not go for the execution. It is not showing the output to you right now. So here the concept is when the software is running, I think we have to mute from your side, one of you. Balaji, I'm getting background noises. Yeah. So the whole picture just it's a small concept here. Just that point you have to understand that. See, when you're running the Python software, just think that Python is running on your system somewhere on the RAM. So on your RAM, your software is running. Which software right now? The Python interpreter. So while the Python interpreter is running, so when you type a statement like this, import and the file name. So when you just write like this kind of a file, the .python file, whatever is there, it is loaded on the software. So the code is loaded. The whole file is loaded into this particular software somewhere. So the file name is important here. So the file name, the whole code of the file name will be found inside the system somewhere in one block only, one unit only. So whatever you wrote in that particular file will be available here. So as of now, I just wrote a code here, print hello. So that is the line which is loaded in this particular system. And here the software is interpreter. So what is important in interpreter is whenever you give any instruction to the interpreter, it immediately executes it. There's no more delay in that. Whenever you pass any code to the interpreter, it will start executing it immediately. So when that execution has happened is when you have written this statement, import statement. So import statement is basically called for loading of the file on the interpreter. And when the file is loaded, it is immediately interpreted, translated also, interpreted and also executed on the screen. So that's the reason once it is loaded, second time when I said import, again if I type the same statement, same file cannot be loaded once again on the software. It's only loaded once in the system. And while it is loaded only, the whole code gets translated and executed also. So second time, the import statement will not show any output on the screen, right? If you want to see the output once again, there is one more way on this is you restart your shell. So basically, shell has some options here. You have an option to restart the shell also. So you can say Control F6, you can press or you can click on this one. So when you did this, it just has restarted this Python interpreter once again. So as if what happens with this is the Python interpreter, which we were running till now, which was having a file on it, it's been restarted. So the whole Python interpreter is now started once again, and now nothing is found inside this particular software. It's empty now. So this interpreter is empty. So now if you type again import on this shell, saying the same file, so the same file has to get loaded in this particular software somewhere, anywhere in the system, it can load it. And inside this file, whatever is there, it will get translated line by line and gets executed. So by this, the code what we wrote was just the hello, same output will come once again on the screen. So you can see this. I've just restarted the software once again, and I'm just saying import the file. So we should not say extension. This is not allowed. Basically, it will give an error. So what we should just type is import statement. Now already it is executed. You can see that partially executed. So again, if I say test4, now no output. So just restart the shell by pressing Ctrl F6 or clicking on the run button, run and F6. So then we can just say import test4. So whatever we wrote in that gets executed here. Now I'll just show one more thing here. In the same file, what we have written, and let's open the file. The file name was test4.py. So other than that, this was just a printing state. Now what I want to take is, I want to say take some data. Let us take some two numbers here and some name. Okay, let us say some C is equal to tech. So total I have taken how many data here? 3 data. So there is only one print statement and there are 3 variables declared with 3 information. 2 are integer information and 1 is a text kind of information. Now I am saving this file again, and when I click on run, the software starts execution now. So when I said run, immediately the Python interpreter restarts again. And because of that, what happened? So that means on the file itself, we have clicked on run. So when I clicked on run, Python interpreter starts first, and on Python interpreter, this code gets loaded. And when the code is loaded, it starts executing also line by line. So this line gets translated and executes, on upon which it gives an hello statement on the screen. And these 3 statements are just memory, just loading of the data. It's not a print statement anymore. So these are not shown on the screen because there is no print statement after that. So when I'm running the software from here, Python interpreter runs first and loads the file. Out of that file, whichever is the print statement, it gets executed immediately. So now the scenario would be, background scenario would look something as if you have loaded on the software the file, particular file, and on the file we have loaded the first particular file, and inside the file we had a hello statement, it got executed, but other than that file we had 3 variables, so A, B and C. So they were having some data, whatever data it can be. So right now these 3 informations are found inside which file? What is the name of file right now? Test4. So this whole block name is called as test4. This whole information belongs to a file. And now that means the data is available permanently as long as the software is running. This output is already shown on the screen, but this data is inside the software. It's inside the interpreter. Now, if you want to call those data, if you want to print those data, you can do, but we have to take the help of which name? The block name. So the name of the block is nothing but the file name only. So we have to call the file name and use an operator called dot. So when I said dot, it will give a permission to go inside the memories and to access any of these 3 variables. So I can say the file name and the variables with a dot operator. So the name of the file here is test4 and the data name is A. So whenever I want to call any of the information from inside the file, this is the way we call it. Means we can't call it directly generally. So let us just see once. I'm just running it. Okay. So I just saved it. I can run this file in another way. That is, I said directly go to the shell. And if you restarted it also, if you restarted the software, and now how to run the code is just by using a statement of import statement. So by this you can understand the code got executed. But out of that code we have something called A. So inside that particular block, the block name is the file name. We find 3 data. Even if you press dot and hold, it show an output on the screen to you. It is just given this description of the information found inside that file. So when I'm calling the file name and pressing dot, immediately it displays all the information which is inside that file. We can directly call it. but we can't call it this one. This is an error, right? We can't call it directly because what we have done is by the first import statement, what we have done is just loaded the file on the interpreter. File is there inside the interpreter, but I don't have a direct access to the information. So to access the information of this particular file, we have to call dot operator. This is called as access operator. So test4 dot will take you inside the test4 file, and whatever is there you can access with the dot operator only. Right? Is this clear till here or any confusion?
It's clear till now, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'll just show one more way here. Now if I'm on the file and I click a run, this just observe this. I'm clicking a run here. So on running, it restarted, it executed the Python, it executed the code, we got the output. Now I want to see the information. So now again if I say test4.a, it gives an error. Now it gives an error. There are two ways to run the code I said. What was the first way I said? See, just if you have a doubt, again I will show it from the beginning. There are two ways to run the code. One is
I think
open the idle. Yeah.
we need to reset the shell or else.
Okay. I have to open the shell right now.
Okay.
File is already saved, no? Test4. You know that file is there in the system. How do we run the file? How do we execute that file? You have already created last time and you have saved it with some name. The name of the file was test4.py.
Import test4.
Yeah, this is one. So we have imported. So when I imported like this, the file is loaded directly on the Python interpreter and it is in the block format. So whatever you want to see from that block, we have to call it in this. This is the way. Till here it's fine. Till here it's fine. But problem is when we go to the file itself, like when we go to the same file, open the file of test4 directly. You open the file directly and here you click an option of run. So when you click on the run, only the code is loaded, not the file. The file is not loaded in the interpreter. Instead, this whole code will be directly passed on the interpreter. So when I do like this, line by line gets executed. So now, if I have to call the data, I should call like this. Slight difference. Here I can't say test4.a. Right? You get the difference here? What is the difference between running the file and importing the file?
From the shell also, we can run directly.
We can run directly, but that time what we said was we had to just run it like this one.
Okay.
So that means what is the instruction given to the interpreter? You want to call everything of this file. File name is important here.
Yeah.
You are accessing everything of the file with the file name only. So you pass the file on the interpreter. So whatever you have to call with which name? File name only. Otherwise, we can't see that data. Because you may have lot of files in the system. Maybe let us say one more file was there. Here also we can have some other A, some other B, and some other C. So the same variables are there in another file. So the file name is now test file. So now if I just go to the interpreter, that means it's shell, and here if I simply say import test4 or import test file. Now I imported two files. If I simply say A, there is a confusion. Which A? Because there is same data found in two files right now. So whenever I have to call the information, I have to always call with the name of the file, like this. So we are able to differentiate the data based on the file itself. Right? But instead, if you directly go to the file itself, if you are directly going to the location of the file And here you're clicking on the run. Means directly you're running the file only. When you click on run, the whole code is directly loaded without any file description. And now if we have to do, we have to call directly if you're running the file. So that time this file name will not work. Right?
Okay, ma'am.
Vinita, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Any confusion, you can ask me again. Otherwise, after the class also, you can get an explanation.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So now this is how we basically run the programs actually. And other than this, if we have written some code and saved it somewhere else also. Let us take in a small notepad if I type it and save it somewhere, not only in this file piece. So the same code. I'm just trying to save as a test6.py, but I'm storing in Python folder right now, some folder. Now, how do we run this particular file? I can directly go to the command shell and go to the C drive, go to the Python 14 folder, and now we can convert this to a Python shell. We can convert it to the Python shell, and now again we can do the same concept. Import test 5. Test 5 dot test 5 dot whatever we have, we can just call it. So if it is test 6, I can import it. We got the code. But again, if you say import test 6, will it execute again? Will that output show again on the screen? Printing statements. Will it again get executed?
No, it won't, right?
It won't. It won't. Because once a code is loaded, if there is any print, it's already interpreted. It's already executed. Second import will not show any. Okay. This is many ways are there to execute, but general way how do we run or write the code is directly on the shell only. We just try to take a shell, open a new file and start writing the code here. Generally, this is the way. Or else later, after 1 week or 10 days, we'll go for IDs, various IDs, PyCharms or Notebook, Jupyter. There are a lot of things. We just check that, right? So whatever way you try, you're able to execute the code now, at least. All right. Now just think, I wanted to run that test6 file on this shell. How should I run that? Now I'm on the shell. Let me just open the shell again. This is Python shell. And I want to run this code. This code. The file name is what right now? Test6.
Import test.
And where is it saved? That is important. Where is it saved?
P4.
P14. Okay. So now, is the path same? Is the shell opened in the same path? It's in the different path. It's not in the same path. It's in a different location. Even if I say file save as, you'll come to know. Is it in E drive? It's not in the E drive, no? Currently?
It's in Pi 14, right?
Yes, it is in E drive 514.
Okay.
But your shell, just like command, no? When I open a command, it is in some drive. It is in which drive? C drive. DOS command. Always it is in the same drive. Similarly, when I opened Python shell also, it is opening in a default shell, default path. What is the default path of Python idle? The Python location. It's not opening in E drive at all. It's opening in C drive. Right? Is my program saved in C drive or E drive?
E drive.
So if I just say import here, import test6, will it run? Will it run? Is it okay? Means these files we saved in which folder? In the Python folder only. We saved in the default location of Python software. But what about test 6? Was it found in the Python or was it found in the E folder? E drive.
E
E
drive.
drive. So I'm not currently in the E drive. Python shell is not connected to E drive. It is in C drive. So we need to change the directory. So to change the directory or to do anything on your operating system, there is a library called as OS. We have to just import this OS. In this, we can do OS operation. So I want to call some predefined functions like, so we can just see get current working directory. If I have to call the working directory, it will show me the path. Currently, Python is opened in which directory? It has shown you the path. So, do I want to run the program from here or program is in some other folder? Program, I just saw where am I currently present in Python. So, Python is presently located in which drive? C drive. The path is this one. But my program is in some other path. So, I need to go to that drive. See, in DOS command also we did the same. How did we run the program? Did we do from the same C drive or we changed to the E drive? Generally. Did we change the directory to the E drive, Python 14 directory? We first changed to the E drive, then we moved to the Python 14. After that only we could run the programs. Without changing the drive from C to E, I could not run it. So what should we do here? We have to change the directory. So in Python OS, we have an option to change the directory. So change the directory option is already here. You can choose this and you can mention your directory path here to whichever directory you want to change right now. So you want to change to this particular path. Just mention that here. So like this and just press enter. So now if you want to check again, what is the current working directory? I want to just find out the current working directory. Now where is my current directory opened as? Now this one. Previously when I opened, I saw it was in C drive. Now it is in which drive? E drive. So there's only one thing to change the directory is we have a function to do change directory. So these functions to find out where am I currently standing or to change to some other directory, these functions are found in a library called as OS. So first import an OS and from that OS you just give the instruction to change the directory or to find the current directory. Once we have changed to the E drive, now what we can say, because inside this we have this file. So we have to go to the correct location and then call the file. Otherwise, we'll say file is not available, like how we got it in the beginning. So when we just directly say it will not be callable, we have to move to that location and then only import the file, right? Is this clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So any location, it can be run. Yeah. Balaji, is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Today I'll just start about the, now you know the execution part. So we'll just proceed with the actual topics. The first topic which we'll have to learn is data types.
Madam, can you show me the document once?
The import statements.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you that parts. So we have to import the OS. First step. And after importing the OS, the next step would be to
OS.
to change to the required directory
Then
to your path. So to do that, we have os dot change dir, this function. And here you mention the path, whatever path you want to change to, just mention it. So by this, what happens is the directory is changed to your path. Now to check the current path, where am I currently existing? So we can just call os dot get current working directory. So this will show you the output on the screen, because on the shell when we print, it will show the current working path.
Okay.
So once we have reached to the correct location, what we can do is import your test6 file, whatever file you have in that location. So to start execute, right?
Okay.
That's all it is. You can check and execute once again. We'll see.
Okay. Sure.
So now in Python language, mainly any language you talk about, it's a data processing language only. So Python has some data types. Generally, any language you take, we have variations of data types, but in Python, we have only one category of data type called as reference data types, or these are generally called as abstract data types also. Abstract data types. So what is the other type? Let me discuss first. In every language, we have two categories, primitive types and reference types. Now, these are not available in Python. Primitive types not found in Python. Now, what is primitive? What is reference? This is the only thing which will make difference in Python. Now, I'll just show diagrammatically what is primitive, what is reference. Okay. So, in mathematical way, if I'm writing like this and say like this, and when you try to run this particular line on the screen, immediately what happens in Python is one location will be created and this data will be loaded in this location. Data will be always in memories only. First thing is data is loaded, but wherever the data is loaded on the RAM, its address, its location will be saved in another location. So that is having a name given to it. So A is nothing but a variable in Python, and these variables in Python are called as reference variables. So reference means it holds only addresses. So reference means points to something. So A is a variable which is only holding the location of the data. So somewhere the data is loaded on this particular Python interpreter. Wherever it is loaded, the data is found somewhere. What is the particular address of it? That address will be saved in this variable. So this variable is not holding data. It is holding address of the data. So here variable is somewhere, data is somewhere. That's what we have to understand. Variable is a different entity and data is a different entity. And only connection between variable and data is addressing. So the variable stores the address of a data type here. This is what is called as reference data type. In Python, we are dealing only with this kind of data. So if you say like A is equal to tech, if I've just written like this, that also does in the same manner. So somewhere this data is loaded in the RAM. Each letter will take some 2 or 1 byte of memory. So some 4 bytes of memory is consumed here. After that, the starting address of this particular memory will be saved in a variable location. So that means it's only points to this. So similarly, if I say B is equal to learn, if you have written in the coding, B is equal to learn, so that means there is another variable created in the system called B, and it will hold the base address of which data? The data called learn. Every information uses some space in the system. Wherever it is loaded, in which part of the memory it is loaded, its address. It may be at some other address. So that address will be saved in which variable? The reference variable. So here A and B in Python are called as which type of variables? Are called references now, reference data types. Now, what is the meaning of primitive data type? Because in every other language, we are only dealing with this data type called as primitive types. So, meaning of primitive type is, in just think like you are a C language, we write something like this. So, when we write like this, there is a variable of integer kind of data. So, immediately some memory is allocated for this variable, and inside this memory only the data will be loaded. So that means in one cell whose name is now named as C, and inside that location only we'll find the data. So here data and the variables are not different. Now here variable is name of the location, name of some location on the RAM, and inside that location only what is found? Data is found. This is in other languages, not in Python. So in Python, we don't see this concept. So in Python, whenever we write something like this, It is not creating one cell and it's not storing the data here. It is not naming the cell as A. This is not the concept in Python. In Python, these are two different entities. Information will be loaded somewhere physically on the machine and its address will be saved immediately in some other location. So that is a variable. So this A is now pointing to which data? 5, whose location is found in the A variable. Now below this sentence, if I just type like this. So now there is another data created. Every data will be loaded in a different location. Now which data is created here? 10. So it is in some other location. It's not loaded in the same location. So 10 is found in some other cell. Maybe I'm just guessing 200 cell. And now what are we doing with this 10? We are assigning it to which variable? A. So that means 10's address will be saved in which location? A's location. Now is A holding the address of first value or the second value? 5 or 10? Is it pointing to 5? Is it now pointing to 10 or can it point to both?
I think it will point to both.
Both.
Maybe like option.
Okay.
It will give us an option like this or this.
Okay. If you have a house, will we have two numbers or one number?
Okay, one.
One number. So this is a variable. It should hold somebody's address. So it will only hold one person's address. So initially it was holding 5's address, but now when you said A is equal to 10. So that means you have changed A's pointer to what? 10's address. Now A is holding 10's address. So that with that what happens? This link is broken. The connection between A and 5 is already broken and a new connection is made between A to 10. Now A is a reference to which information? 10. And what about the 5? There is no link available for 5. So such data which does not have any links to any variable, it will be immediately destroyed from the system. It is removed from the system. This is called as garbage collection. Whenever something is found unnamed, unidentified, nobody is owner of this particular data, that data will be immediately released from the system. So that memory is emptied immediately. So with that, what happens? You can create a lot of data, but if you're writing like this, only one data is currently active. Rest all are already removed from the system immediately. By this, memory will be always safely used up. It's like just I'm typing a message, it's immediately deleted if I'm not saving. If I'm saving the message with some name, then only I can see that message. So if I'm opening some 2-3 notepads, they are all temporary. They're all temporary right now. I would have written something. So as long as I keep a reference to it, just if I give a name to the file only, save it somewhere only, then only this file is permanent. Then only I can reuse it again and again. So any file without any saved names, if I close it, that means it will automatically remove from the system. It is not stored anywhere in the hard disk. It's immediately deleted. So same concept here also. If you take any data and store it in some reference, it is alive. But if you have changed the reference, same reference is now pointing to a new data, this will automatically be garbage collected. That's what is the whole story about Python. So in Python, only one thing you have to remember. In Python, there is no primitives. Primitives means we just try like the just like this we say. Whenever we write like this, it is always fixed data type, a variable, that means name of a location, and inside that location only we'll find the data. So general definition of variable is name of a location. Name of some location. So in your memory, some location would be there. Like if I'm saying D, it's a partition name. Some hard disk, some memory region. So the name of that partition is now D drive. In that, if I again say pi 14, we have gone to the restricted area in that D drive. So D drive memories is partitioned into some different parts. Now this path is pointing about maybe this particular region. So everything is a name in computers. So whatever we do, we will just have a reference to it. So the variables are nothing but names of some location on Python interpreter. So whenever the Python interpreter is running, inside that will be reserving some space. So if I said 5, it is stored somewhere. If I say 6, it is stored somewhere. So 5 and 6 are not names, they are constant information, data. They are data. But if I say A is equal to 5 or B is equal to 6, so what is A and B here? Names of the location. So wherever 5 is loaded, wherever 6 is loaded, this locations. So I'm saving these locations in a variable like this. So these variables are nothing but names given to some location. So location 100's name is now A, location 200's name is now B, right? So just names. In other languages, what happens is, whenever I say A is equal to 5, in the same location, this is only 100, this is only the name, and here only we find the data. There is no difference. Variable and constant are the same. But in Python, A is something else, data is something else. Only they are binded with references here. Clear? Any confusion till here?
No, ma'am.
So because of that, there are a lot of benefits in Python language. So if I take some variable here, as long as I want some data, I can use it. And now, once this data is finished, you can use it for printing purpose or whatever. Your task is over. Now you can change the data types. You can say 5.2, you can say some 6.3, and you can say again A plus C. What happens whenever you are assigning a new data, every constant is loaded in the machine, some or the other location. So it will be only loaded once in the system. And then once you have just done the addition part, it has done the addition of the two values and stored the answer. Answer is also loaded in a new location. And now this is referred through A, this is referred through B, and this is referred through C. This is done till now. But after that, we printed C value. We got this output on the screen. And after printing, what did we do next? We have said A is equal to 5.2. So immediately 5.2 is loaded somewhere on the machine physically. Because 5 is different, 5.2 is different. After loading it, only thing what it has done is, it has changed the reference and broken the secret. And after that, automatically this data also get garbage collected. And similarly, we said 6.3. So 6.3 is also new data. It's not the same data. So it's loaded once again. And since B is reinitialized, it is pointing to this and it's broken. And then it is garbage collected. Right? Now we said C is equal to A plus B. So by adding this data and this data, we got a new answer, something like 11.5. So it is also new data. It's not 11, it is 11.5. So again, a new data is created and now C is pointing to this new data. Link is broken, data is destroyed. So currently A, B, C are pointing to the new data, right? And if I write something like this, you have to just understand 2 times I have written here, 2 times. But even though I have written twice here, A is only one variable and this constant is 5. It is loaded somewhere and it is just pointing to this initially in the second line. Again, what did we say? Again, we said A is equal to 5. So again, once again, second time 5 cannot be loaded because it will check, do we have a 5 in the system? Already 5 is available in the system. Same data can never be loaded again in the system to save memories because 5 is already there. Why should I load the 5 data again? So now A is still pointing to the same data. Now, if I say B is equal to 5, variable is a different one, but is the data different or same? I may write 1000 times 5, but it is found in how many locations? One location only. It won't be loaded 1000 times. Same information cannot be duplicated. It's only available in single copy. So right now, 5 is found in how many times? Only one location. And how many references to it? A is pointing to this 5. And again, what about this? This is also pointing to the same data. Same constant cannot be loaded twice. 5, once it is loaded, that's it, it's fine. But I can take multiple references for the same information, right? B and A, are they pointing to two different 5s or only one 5? Okay, I need to say, if I write something like this, just see the data. Are they two different data or same data?
Same data.
Same data. So it will be loaded in the system only once. And this kind of a data can never be found again somewhere in the system. Duplicate copies. Copies are not generated. Generally, we say no Xeroxes, copying one file. Copies cannot be generated here. So if you have written the same data once again, similar, exactly which is already loaded in the system, same data cannot be loaded again. So it's already found in the system somewhere. I'm just guessing at 100 byte of the RAM. And already initially I saved it in which reference? A's reference. Now A is pointing to this. This is done. Second line says B reference. There's another reference created. And what is it pointing to? 1, 2, 3. It will check in the software. It will check in the system. Do we have such kind of set of information 1, 2, 3? Yes, it's already there. So it will simply link this B also to which data? Same data. So can I say A and B are references to the same set of information?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. So it is not going to do duplications of this in Python. But if it was in C language, just I'll show you this, C or Java or any other language. If I had written like this in other languages, so how many variables are created here is two variables, and the data constant is loaded how many times? Twice. Same information is found twice, and this is again stored as a constant also. Totally 3 locations. But here how many locations we can see? 5. Just once. One copy of the data will be found in the system. No duplicates. Right? So with that, can I say we have saved a lot of memory wastage?
Yes, ma'am.
Because
Because
if
no,
yeah,
yeah.
because if I write here so many times print tech learn, how many ever times I type it here, but already it is loaded in the system, same tech is printed again. So I can say similarly here, tech. I can say so many times tech. If I take a different data, okay, capital letter also, even if I change a case, it's a difference. There's a difference between C and other two things. Now let me check the locations. How to find the locations in Python languages? We have a function called ID. It'll show the identification address of it. So if I'm telling this, it will show the location on the RAM, on which byte of the RAM it is found. It's found in this cell of the RAM. So if I want to check identification address of variable P, P is holding whose address? Same address?
Yeah.
Fine. Now if I'm trying to check for C, am I getting the same address?
No, it's changed.
Because it's another data. Same
Yeah,
data.
mentioned.
Yes. If I say the constants also like this, Z is equal to something, 6, you can see ID of X, ID of Y, you can say everything is different. And only ID of Z is different. See, all the addresses are different. This is 68, this is 68, this is 12, 912. Okay. So address changes there, you can see that. Okay. Clear? Any confusion?
No, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. So only thing we have to be very, very clear. Python has only which type of data? Only reference data types, but no primitive types. And what are the different reference types now? There are different types of data in Python. So types of data found in Python would be like, first thing is numeric type. So in numeric, there is only one category, two categories here, int and floats. There are only two categories of data, either purely integer value or with a fractional value, decimal precisions there. Two types of categories. So when you write just like this, it's an integer. When you write with a decimal precision, it is a floating value. So these are two numeric types of data. The next type of data, I can say it as string type of data. String means text. Text, or we say string. For that, we have a keyword called as str. So like these keywords are specifically used for some data types. So which kind of data if you want to say, I'll say it's an int data. I'll say this is a float data. So similarly, we have next category of data, which is non-numeric or we say textual based. This is called as str type of data, string type of data, and it is using with single quotations as either single quotations or double quotations or even triple quotations. We can use that. But whatever you mentioned, all the three categories are of which type? String type only. And inside this, we can write almost anything, alphabets, numbers, dots, commas, whatever you want, you can use it and close inside double quotations. If you are using double quotations, just try to open and close, and whatever you write, everything becomes like a string kind of data. String means text, and text means collection of characters. Collection of characters. Now, what is characters means? Actually, everything is a character. Even if I type alphabets, if I type a symbol, if I write a digit also. See, this is a notepad, basic editor, no? In basic editor, when I'm saying like this, it's not giving me an answer. Is it giving me an answer here? So whatever I type in the notepad, it's just a text only. It is not a number for notepad. Similar way, if you are opening some apps, registration forms, where we have to type the username. Beside username, if you type 12 plus 3, will it immediately show the answer to you, 16 answer on the text field?
No, no.
No, because it's on the text field. Text field can only hold which kind of data? Text kind of data only. So whenever we use system for interaction, user interface, we type. And whenever we type, the basic format of data is which type? String type of data. Whatever we give input initially is taken as string, but later we can convert them to other formats like int or float or other formats, etc. Right? So what is that conversion? It's like if I'm saying please enter your age, you may have entered some age something like this, but once you entered the age, it is actually taken input in which format? Text format only. Whenever you take inputs from any source, generally it comes in a text format. Internally, we have to do the conversion of this text into which format? This format. This is which format right now? Int. And this is which format? str. str in Python means string. Int means integer shortcut, right? So we will have lot of functions to do this conversion. So that means it's easy to convert a string to integer or int to string, or we can do a lot of conversions, int to float, float to int. Lot of locations in real time, we need to do conversions. Without conversions, nobody will write an application. Sometimes you will get a lot of larger value. You want to remove this precision and just round off the number. Means this kind of data is called as a floating value. So if I don't want the answer in floating value, we can convert this to which type? Int type. So for that conversion, we need presentation, I need conversion. For conversion, we have lot of functions here. So that we'll learn anyhow today. So let us finish this. So we have second category of data is string type of data. And how do we present string information is either in single quotations or double quotations or triple quotations, right? But numeric values are not mentioned in single or double quotes. It's directly mentioned, right? Is that clear till here? Any confusion?
Yes, clear.
Yeah.
Clear, ma'am.
And in string, if that string or the text is in single line, we can use single quotations or double quotation. But if you need multiple lines, like a paragraphs of sentences or some message or a poem, we need to use triple quotation. Because in Python system, if I'm typing one line and press enter, it's already executed. So if I just type, uh, if I say print hello, and if I'm pressing enter, it's already broken. The line gets terminated immediately. So if I have to type 2-3 words in 2-3 lines, what I can do is I can do like this, but instead of using the single quotes, I better use triple quotation. So whenever we type triple quotation, system is allowing you to use multiple lines also to type the text. So I'm using multiple lines. And as long as you don't enter triple quotes again, it's not going to close. It's not going to terminate. Once your statements are over, you can finish it with triple quotation and just say round brackets and enter that. So you can see the multiple lines of text. So if you have to write the text in more than one line, like an address. So address we will never write in one line. So whenever you want to type something in different lines, we have to only use with simple double quotation is one. So this will not break unless you break it with this one, right? Now this again you should have a doubt why we are getting this slashes. So we have typed just a plain text. Did I mention print statement here? Did I say I want to print the output on the screen or did I directly give the data? Is it data or is it a print statement?
Direct data. There's no
Yes.
print.
Yes. Here we said no print. So whatever you give as a print, it will print in a general format. It will not show double quotes to you. It will not show single quotes to you. It will not show that new line character. When I pressed enter, it is nothing but equal to which letter? This letter. So when I said print, it is hiding all those symbols, with symbols, brackets, triple quotes, slash, and everything is hidden with the print function. It only shows the actual data, not the complete format of the data. But when I just gave the data, it will show the data along with symbols. So in Python, internally there is no triple quotation. While typing, you may give triple quotation, but originally text is taken in which symbol? Single quotes only. Okay, so the data will be shown in original format, raw format, and wherever we press enter, it will show its symbol. Enter key symbol is slash. So a lot of special symbols are there, like backspace. Its symbol is backspace is like if I'm writing A, B, C, D, slash B. So there are some letters like these are special letters, backspaces, tabs. They have some letters. So actually it should be deleted when I do the print statement. Now let me show it. A, B, C, D, E, and I'm using a backspace key. So this slash key is equivalent to a backspace button on the keyboard. Okay, so if I'm just doing what is missing here, you can see there is a small backspace button here. It has just included basically. So in Python, it is not deleting, but in other languages, it deletes actually this letter. It should be deleted. Okay. So instead of this backspace, it is showing a special symbol, just like a square box.
I think the B is also deleted.
Please, no, this together is a special symbol. The slash B represents backspace on the keyboard.
Backspace.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so backspace is not to be printed, no, that's not a printing character. So instead of that, it's showing a square bracket. So any special character like a tab, if I say slash T means tab. So I'm just writing hello and then I'm giving some other thing, backspace. So same way, if I say tech and a slash in. These are some characters I'm trying to bring in. So these are special buttons, tab button, backspace button, and a slash in button. So when I just printed it, you can see that ABC, after that we got a gap, a tab space is added here. Hello, only backspace is not printed. Backspace is not showing effect. Actually, backspace means it should delete this letter. It is not deleting. Instead, it's just showing this square brackets. Then tech, and after tech, what is the letter? Slash in. Slash in means enter key. So when you press enter, what happens? Output should go to the next line. The cursor should go to the next line, and after that, what is printed on the screen? End. So enter and tab is working, but backspace is not working, right? In Python. I'll teach you this special symbols also. So you are able to understand that text is using only which symbols? Actually single quotations. But to type more letters, more sentences only, what should we use? If I say double quotation and try to press enter, it will break the line. So to type multiple words in different lines, this is the way. Okay. It will not break in the middle unless you close that with triple quotation. It will continue. It will go on continuation, right? Any confusion till here? Second type of data. String.
No, ma'am.
String is used with single, double, or triple. Three things. Three quotation, but there is a purpose. For everything, there is a purpose. I will discuss that later. So as of now, internally, it is taking which character? Internally, single quotes only. Right? And to type multiple lines, what I said, multiple lines can be typed with only triple quotations.
Triple quotations.
And there is one more for that. There is a continuation operator. There is a symbol called as continuation operator, which is said as like this. So like in English, we say, no, if my sentence is over, we say hyphen and we come down, no, generally like this. So if a line is ended already, we don't have space. We just put a dash and continue to the next line, no, generally in English words. So in this space, we have a symbol called slash. So whenever you want to continue still, I have written a word, but I want to type the next word in the next line. So I don't want to break it. So I want to continue further. So for that, we can use this symbol, continuation operator. Line will not break right now. Even if you press enter, it's continuing because of that operator. And then we can type this. Again, if you want to type the next line in this, and we can type like this. It will work. Now it will not do any breaking here. Previously, when I wrote single quotes, I have to write in the same line. It will not allow you to go to the next line. So even without finishing the single quotes, I can go to the next line with the help of this symbol. So let me just show it. If I'm saying tech, generally if I press, it breaks. Now I'm just typing tech slash and continue. You can see it's not breaking the line. It's like, no, sometimes we have lot of sentence. You are just going on writing lot of things and there's no more line. I want to write the remaining part in the next line. Just like a poem, line by line, I want to show in the different lines. So I will continue further in the next line. Continue further in the next line. And then I'll close it, and come out. So shortage of, like if the file is very small, we don't have more space to type everything in one line. So I want to move to the next line. So for that reason, we use continuation operator. Just like if I'm writing something like 1 plus 2 plus. If it's, I'm continuously typing lot of numbers and there's no more space to type remaining numbers. So what I can use now, slash, go down and write the remaining part of the calculation. Okay? And this. Otherwise, what happens? If I'm typing 2 plus 3 and if 4 and if I press enter, no, because of the plus symbol. If I didn't use a plus symbol and I pressed, okay, so this is in the version 9, it is not breaking. Fine, it's okay. Because till 8 it will break. Now this is the new version, no? They have resolved this error. Otherwise, no, generally if I press enter, it will break immediately. Right? So now it's not required here in this statement. Okay. Because in this calculation, what are we doing is a bracket is first thing, second thing is a plus symbol. So whenever we use a plus notation, it is waiting for the still more data. Come down, and if you are not giving any data and trying to do something like this, invalid syntaxes. So whenever you are giving some addition syntaxes, it will wait. Even if you have some more data, you can enter in the next line. Right? Close it in a proper line. Right? This is a 9 version. Older versions was giving an error, but in this version it is resolved. Continuation operator is clear. What is the use of continuation operator?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this other than this, the new data type, the other data type would be a list data type. So this is nothing but a set of data, maybe of same or different data type. That's called as collection types. Collection of data, or we also call these as data structures. Generally, every language will have this part. Now, list symbol basically is a square bracket, and inside the square bracket, you can put any number of data. Not only one, we can multiple number of data. So this collection of data inside square brackets is called as list type of data. And the speciality of list, the features, basically the important features of the list are, it can collect duplicates, basically. Second feature, it will store them in an order, in the same insertion order of as inserted. So that means it maintains the insertion order. So these are important here. So maintains insertion order means as you have added them, it will be saving the data in the same order. It will never shuffle the data. So data will be in the same order. And we can say these data can be accessed by indexes with their positions. These positions are also called as indexes, which starts from 0 onwards. Okay. So if I have taken a list of 1, 2, 3, let us say 10, 20, 30. So I have 3 data right now, and I want to store this in a reference of D. They have taken a variable called D, and it's pointing to this list information. Now to print the first data, I have to just say D of 0. So when I print D of 0, it will print the 0 at the data because counting is starting from 0 onwards. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2. And if I don't mention any indexes, and if I just say D, it prints the whole list as it is. So it's easy way to print all the data in Python because in other languages we have something called arrays where we have to struggle to print the data. So here there is no difficulty to print everything found in the particular list. We just have to say print with the reference. We don't have to struggle or having a complex coding of this. And if you want to print any particular data out of it, so that is the only ways to call the data through its index. So index is nothing but the position inside that particular list, which starts from 0 counting onwards. 0th element, element number 1, element number 2. So that means position count. And similarly, there's one more symbol called as here, slice operator. So now, as of now, we just check the individual data. This is individual data. So individual data can be used with index notations inside the square brackets with the reference variable. But now, if I want to get a slice of data, slice or we say part or a sublist. So a part of the information. So for that, we have an operator called slice, in which we have a square brackets and a colon symbol. So this operator will have to mention that from where we have to get the data, from which point till which point. That means the starting till the ending positions. So this will tell you the slice of the data. So if I say the list name, and if I just say I want to bring the data from 0th position till position number 2. So if I just say it starts from 0 and stops at 2. That means 2 is not included, it's excluded right now. So which indexes are included here? 0 and 1. These two indexes are included. So elements from 0 and 1 will be printed, and the index number 2 is not included in the print statement. So if we say print d of from 0 to 2, if I'm just writing this, we'll get an output as 0th one and the second one. That means index number 1. This output will be shown on the screen. Right. So depends upon the requirement. So how many values are there? It's up to you. And in this also small variations are there. Now, if I want to say first 3 elements in the list, if there is a list with a lot of data, and I want to see just the first 3 elements. So the first 3 means 0th element, 1 and 2. So we want to see the elements starting from 0th index, 1, 2. So 2 is also included for our printing. So I need to just mention 1 extra than that. This is one way. Or another shortcut for this is, whenever you want to start printing from the beginning, you can skip this index. You don't have to mention the beginning index. Just use colon. And you want to print how many elements? 3 elements. Just use that same number here. Because always 3 is not participating in print. So 3 is excluded out of the print statement. So here if you skip the starting index, it will automatically take as 0. So it means from the beginning till the third element means element number 3. So index number. So this will print first 3 elements of this particular list. So easy way to print first 3 elements would be, the notation would be list of colon, that number is important here. So if I say first 5 elements, we can simply say d of, keep the colon and just mention the number which we are trying to say. But if I say print the 5th element only the 5th element, then what should I do here? 5th element means
D bracket open and close and 5.
we have to give 4 because counting starts from where?
Oh,
0 on.
0. Okay.
So somebody who is the 5th person, so you have to say d of 4. Okay. This is one way. And here we have a counting in reverse order also. Counting can be done in reverse order also using negative notation, negative symbols. So if I have to say the last element, we have an index called as -1. So last second means, then we'll go on as -2. So all the indexes we can start counting in a, if these are the elements available. So now we can just start counting them from the reverse order from backward direction. So this will be called as which index? -1, -2, -3. So now if I say print the last third element. So what should be the notation for that? D of
-3.
minus directly. If I say first 3, third element. So for that we used to say D of
2.
this is 1, right? So similarly, if I want last three elements, can you just guess what would be the notation?
Three you want. Put
I
it
want
off.
to print last three.
-3, -2, -1.
So can I type three indexes at a time? Is it one or many? Is it one element or more elements?
It's more.
So can I use slice operator?
Yeah.
So can you just give a try? How do I use slice? In slice, what is the concept?
Semicolon,
Not semicolon, it's colon.
colon.
And to the left side, what should I say?
The first is -3
Yes,
and
-3.
-1.
Yeah, you don't have to give -1, you can leave it blank. Because -1 we want to print, no?
Yeah.
-1 is included, you can keep it blank. We don't have to mention. So by the syntax itself, it's last three. Last three means negative indexes. So whenever I say this, it's nothing but last term from last. So when I see only d of something, d of a negative number like this and a colon and I left it blank. So that means it's nothing but last five elements. Okay. And if I just see positive number, but to the right side, what does it mean right now? Here it is missing. To the right side, we have the data. It talks about can you guess? Can you guess this?
The fifth element will be first to 5. First 5 elements.
Five elements. Okay. So this
Give it a
operator
four.
is only used for slicing a part of the data, right? Any confusion till here?
No more.
And we'll be using on real time. So tomorrow I'll show you practically on the real time scenarios. Just whether it's working or not, whatever I taught, you can test it today itself. Just you can take a small list. Now I want to print first three. What should I do to print first three elements?
First.
I want to print only the first three elements. What should we do?
1.
First three.
First 3 means space
D of D of
d of space colon. Third element means you need to keep 2.
three elements. 0, 1, 2.
Yeah.
If I'm writing 3, this is not included, it's excluded. It will start at 0, stop at 3. So it will only print in 2. Okay. If I want to print last 3,
Last 3 is -1. Semicolon -1.
no,
No, -3. So,
-3 till end. So don't have to
Okay.
specify the end, keep it blank and
and
just
it's blank. Yeah.
right. Anyone fifth element, if I want to print the fifth element,
Print 4. D of 4.
right? Any confusion?
No.
So
No,
this will learn and tomorrow we'll be learning some real-time scenarios also where we can use these. Once I finish the data types tomorrow, basic data types, then we can discuss where we can implement this in real-time scenario. Fine? So I'll just stop the session till here today. So tomorrow onwards, we'll start at 6:30 and wind up at 7:30 if you are all okay. Otherwise, I can extend till 8 o'clock. That's not a problem. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.